I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
I've never seen someone do this.
Well, it's a growing trend because people like me are facing violence, assaults. The left. Yes, the campus Antifa. I've been stormed out of restaurants. I've been assaulted publicly, multiple death threats.
Okay, so what's your goal in all this?
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put it on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
Just to recap yesterday's events, at around 12:20 p.m., political influencer Charlie Kirk was at Utah Valley University participating in a student-sponsored event with Turning Point USA. Charlie was shot at that event. He was transported to a local hospital where he later passed. Last night, his body was moved to the state office of the medical examiner. We will continue to facilitate movements to get him home today and with his family. We were able to track the movements of the shooter. Starting at 11:52 a.m., the subject arrived on campus, shortly away from campus. We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location. After the shooting, we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled off of the campus and into a neighborhood. Our investigators have worked through those neighborhoods, contacting anybody they can with doorbell cameras, witnesses, and have thoroughly worked through those communities, trying to identify any leads. We do have good video footage of this individual. We are not going to release that at this time. We are working through some technologies and some ways to identify this individual. If we are unsuccessful, we will reach out to you as the media and we will push that publicly to help us identify them, but we are confident.
Here's the latest that we've learned so far. Investigators say they've been able to track the suspect's movement through stairwells to the roof where they believe the shooting took place. Then he was believed to have jumped off the building's roof and moved away from campus, and they believe he could now be in a nearby neighborhood. They say they have good video, images, and impressions and have recovered the alleged weapon that fired the fatal shot.
An urgent, truly all-out manhunt now enters the second day for the shooter who killed Charlie Kirk, the conservative activist. There's so much video out there from this event. There are 3,000-ish people that were there, including the moment right after this single fatal shot was fired. The crowd at Utah Valley University, as you can see, just breaks out into a run. Chaos trying to search for safety. There's another video that also appears to show a figure ducking and running across a rooftop. You'll see it highlighted right there in a building that's just opposite the event, opposite of where Charlie Kirk was shot.
Charlie Kirk's killer engraved the ammunition used to murder him with pro-transgender ideology, according to reporting in multiple outlets. The suspect fired one shot from an elevated position on a rooftop in an adjacent building on the campus, and surveillance video shows the suspect jumping off and fleeing the area on foot. ATF and other law enforcement located an older model imported Mauser .30-06 caliber bolt action rifle wrapped in a towel in a wooded area near the campus. All of this has been confirmed by the FBI after the fact, after Stevens' report. Wrapped in a towel in a wooded area near the campus. The location of the firearm appears to match the suspect's route of travel. The spent cartridge was still chambered in addition to 3 unspent rounds at the top Fed magazine. All cartridges have engraved wording on them expressing transgender and anti-fascist ideology. What the exact quotes are, we don't know.
Positioned on top of the Low-C building, which is about 200 yards away from where Charlie Kirk was sitting. There is a direct line of sight across the roof of another building to Kirk. Now, That building, the Losi building, is connected to another building by an elevated walkway. It is easy to access. There's just a railing that somebody could jump over. And in the hours after the shooting, there was police tape, police activity on that roof. So that is where we suspect that the shot was fired from. At about 12:36, so maybe 15 or 16 minutes after the shooting, an officer called in a description of a suspect. He's wearing jeans, black shirt, black mask, long rifle, described as being on top of a building. Now, we also heard from Utah officials that they do have some security camera footage of the person they believe to be the suspect, but those officials were eager to point out that that video is perhaps not of the best quality.
And John, also what stood out to me from what we heard from officials earlier was they said it was a single shot that was fired. It wasn't multiple shots in Charlie Kirk's direction. They said it was about 200 yards away from where he was sitting under that tent. What does that tell you about the person's familiarity with firearms?
That tells you that the person is not new to shooting, that they understood exactly what type of long rifle to bring, what kind of optics in terms of scopes and sights to have on that, what the windage was that might affect a shot from that distance. This is someone who knew exactly what they were doing and is probably known to others, and this may be working to the advantage of law enforcement, as someone who has a long history in shooting. This wasn't an amateur.
Well, like I said, when you take a look at the altitude or the elevation of the way Charlie Kirk was seated, he had a tent over him. And so when you back up, let's say 450 feet, 500 feet, 600 feet, that shot becomes more and more difficult because you're looking down at that target. That is why I believe it wasn't quote unquote a headshot. It was taken at the upper torso because the line of sight only exposed Charlie Kirk's upper torso area or the neck area. I think if the tent wasn't concealing Charlie Kirk's head, quite frankly, you would have seen this as a headshot.
This is someone who knew exactly what they were doing, as someone who has a long history in shooting. This wasn't an amateur.
This assassination of Charlie Kirk is indicative of a professional hit.
It looks like a professional hit job from quite a ways away.
For the next week, an opposing person from the left gets assassinated, you have to know this is happening from an outside source, a different country that wants to see America have a civil war.
Doesn't this look like somebody who knew how to kill?
Very well planned, very well orchestrated.